Great to see everyone. Former alumni of Pepsi, current supporter of Pepsi, hell of a beverage. Great to see everybody, and thanks, Juan, for the intro. We made it with the capacity issues. Great to be back with brand innovators, and nothing better than a full house. So it's great to see everyone. Justin, hello.
It's good to be here.
We're here. That's right. So you know what? Let's start with you, right? So we're thrilled to be back, right, as a community and in person, and obviously with the backdrop of the Super Bowl. So why don't we start with the obvious? Tell us about you. Tell us about your team, and tell us about sort of the role and remit of the group at Pepsi.
Yeah, sure. And I think actually we're in the same pocket squares in that picture. Is that a fair thing or not? I do have more than one.
When it works, it works. You know.
No, thank you. Great to be here. No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah.
And the shoe game is strong. I want to point that out. I'm a fan.
One day of clean whites until tomorrow.
Well, good to see everybody. Thank you for having us up here. So Justin Toman, head of sports marketing at Pepsi. We're out here, busy week for us. We were at the stadium last night. If you haven't heard about Pepsi halftime show, it's going to be amazing. Some special guests appearance, maybe it's going to be great. So we basically, and Melissa Duham on my team is here in blue. So I need Melissa to come down here. She's a rock star. And basically, Melissa and I, our team, anything that Pepsi does in sports, it either starts, goes through, or ends with our team. So most of the stuff tends to be brand Pepsi or brand nothing to do, but we do have left in like Starbucks, Aquafina, like water, our whole thing. So it's an awesome job. It's really, we work at the intersection of the big great brands that we have, like Pepsi, or not do, and the intersection of our sports partners and properties and platforms. So things like NFL, obviously, halftime show, all of our league team and athlete partners, over 100 of them. We have the privilege of working with some of the best partners in the business, and really with the goal of making sure our brands can connect with the millions and millions of passionate sports fans.
Yeah, love it. Can everyone hear me? If Justin hangs on to the mic, I can yell. Yeah, coming back. Awesome. Yeah. So why don't we start with you a little bit? So I'd be remiss if we did go a little bit down the personal track here.
All right.
An unbelievably decorated athlete, won multiple national championships herself as a gymnast from the University of Michigan. Give it up a little bit. Being in sports marketing, an unbelievably decorated athlete, how did that influence, or has it influenced your career? And equally important, how you see an activation, or you see the experience inside of an arena or a specific thing?
Yeah. No, I think the biggest thing from maybe a few things, but just being an athlete, like a recovering athlete, right? Kind of like, always wanted to do that. It's just hard when you retire, any athlete, whether you're pro or amateur, or whatever. Like, you have to realize you're stopped. You have to stop competing. It kind of defines you. So I think the biggest thing, it turned me on to the fact that there's careers in sports, right? Being an athlete, you kind of have a glimpse a little bit, like, okay, the people running these events, or some of the marketing behind it. So that was really what turned me on to like this idea of, when you retire, you can actually have a job in sports, so to speak. And so that's probably the springboard, trying to stay in sports somehow from an athlete to a career. That was probably the biggest thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, sports is one of those great connectors, right? Especially coming out of the last 2 years. I mean, the thrill of seeing a full arena and the roar of the crowd. I mean, there's something magnetic about it, right? And so I think that ability, I think there's something you see as an athlete, you're like, there's something here about sort of the value of human connection as well, right?
Well, one of the things, and it underpins a lot of what we do at Pepsi, which is if you look at all the fan or even consumer passion points out there, right? Any brand, whether it's sports, music, entertainment, movies, fashion, like all these things are called consumer passion points, and brands choose to use or leverage any number of these or multiple of them. For me, and why I love sports the best out of everything, like I always tell our music team, like, sports is better than music, right? And you have that debate, which is a more powerful connector. But for me, it's like my taste in fashion, I hope, have changed since I was 10 years old, right? Probably will in another 10 years. I don't know if we'll be wearing this blazer next season, right?
We'll see all the pocket squares.
Yeah, we'll see if I extend the pocket square. It's classic. And your taste in music changed. Maybe you don't always have a favorite song or two, but trends in music can change. In sports, if you're a born Yankees fan, or if you're passed down even from your mother and father, it's likely that you stay a Yankees fan your entire life, even if you move away from New York or wherever you are. So I love that lifelong connection. Your engagement with that sport or with that team changes over time. Whether you're a kid, going to your first game, going to games with your friends in college, or right now introducing your son or daughter to the sport, which I've had the pleasure of doing with football, baseball, with my kids. your engagement with the sport changes, but your love for that team remains.
Yeah.
So I love that aspect, that permanency of fan.
Yeah, no, I love it. And it's also interesting, especially here domestically, we are rich with live sport and professional sport, right? Major leagues, from football to basketball to baseball, to hockey to soccer, a continuing growth area. We think about in other parts of the world, right? Northern England, where a football team is the lifeblood of that town and that connectivity, right? At every scale, it's exactly what you just talked about, this clear, tangible connection, right? So let's run that into Pepsi, right? Let's run that into sort of the Pepsi strategic approach to sports, right? And we talked about this a little bit, right? There's sort of a strategic aspect and kind of a more philosophical touch to it. So why don't we start with sort of the strategic side?
Yeah, well, Melissa and I like to say in our building, when the inevitable question gets asked, like, oh, what's the sports strategy here? What are we doing? We say, listen, there's no sports strategy. There's no like, here's the singular sports strategy for how we're going to operate, how we're going to think about things. I like to counter that phrase with, well, we don't have a sports strategy. We have brand strategies and brand objectives that really our team and our mission is to help achieve those brand objectives through the power of sports. And so, listen, it's different with a Nike or even a Gatorade, which is one of our brands. If sports doesn't exist, the brand doesn't exist. With Pepsi or Mountain Dew, listen, if sports goes away tomorrow, the brands still are massive brands. But we think the power of sports is really unique in terms of the connect, our brands to millions of fans. So it's not the only thing we do, but it's a very powerful and big thing we do with sports. So we say we don't have sports strategies, we have brand strategies and objectives. We're really responsible for working hand in hand with our brand partners to help achieve those and to be the power of sports.
Yeah.
So there's millions of fans out there with great sports partnerships. Let's be sure if your brand objective is to grow share or drive sales in a particular market or deepen engagement, we can help do that through sports. But it's not the only thing we're going to do.
Yeah.
It's one of the.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, we'll come back to sort of measurement because I know there's some really interesting work that's come out of PepsiCo Labs and some business partners there. But let's stick on sort of that concept of sort of audience and brand. Right? Talk about sort of there's a massive portfolio of brands inside of Pepsi to the point. Broncos went away, the brands would still exist, right? So how do you think about the relationship of different brands and different associations, whether it's football or basketball or music, right? So what's the thought process around like, okay, Mountain Dew versus Pepsi versus another brand in the portfolio?
Listen, we try, because it's a portfolio approach, we try to, as much as we can, carve out distinct ownable lanes for each brand. So for instance, we try to, and 90% of the time there are elements and moments of overlap, but we try to cover out the lanes. So Pepsi is going to own, call it traditional stick and ball sports. So football, baseball, hockey, soccer. Pepsi's going to own that. That generally aligns the scale there, aligns with the scale of brand Pepsi. It generally aligns with what we're trying to do with Pepsi at least, which is to create moments of unapologetic joy in sports. That's kind of the mission. That if you're doing it right, you activate with that in those sports. With Mountain Dew, it's a little bit different. It's kind of helping instigate culture, as a catalyst a little bit. So you think about the heritage of the Mountain Dew brand, action sports. The Red Bull guy broke it earlier. It's action sports. It was NASCAR racing. It's the heritage of the brand. Now it's basketball. We branched out and we're trying to establish a position in the NBA and basketball. So we try to give these brands different lanes that are ownable and unique to the positioning of the DNA of those brands.
Yeah.
The activation that comes on. So we're trying not to, kind of cross-pollinate too much to give people their own.
Do you feel, and first of all, mid-sentence I wrote down, unapologetic joy and fandom, which we should all coin in our everyday lives, in our working lives. Like if there's a singular soundbite, by the way, unapologetic joy and fandom.
That is what Pepsi is all about.
That's incredible. So at this point, you've been with the brand for a long, long time, and Melissa as well, 9 years, right? Like, so there's some clear sort of, tenure inside the brand. Do you feel at this point you have a really good sense for the types of sports affiliations or activations that sort of meet the brand of the brand, right? The character of a Mountain Dew, the character of a Pepsi.
Oh, such a good question. It's almost like a championship team. If you ask Tom Brady, does it ever get old winning championships? And the answer is obviously no. But because it's so hard to do that and things change year to year, if you have the same guys on the team or women on the team for 1 year to year, it's the dynamics change, injuries happen, everything changes. So I would say that we feel like we have the right framework, and we know that sports is a very powerful tool to connect with consumers. How we do that, brand objectives change, brand positionings change over time, things evolve, partners change, maybe you lose certain partners, maybe new sports and genres, esports wasn't a thing 10 years ago, now it's a massive thing. So it's always, it's a constant evolution. So we're always trying to keep our finger on the pulse of what's this brand about, what we want it to be about going into the future, where should we continue to play our chips? Is it, there's, I think, things that are hopefully always going to work, like the NFL and the NBA. You can build around that, but you're always trying to find that next piece. So esports, great example of the last probably 5 to 7 years. Really didn't exist 5 years ago for us, and we built out a portion of our team, a lot of dollars, many great partnerships to add that into what now we do with a lot of other brands. So it's a constant evolution of surveying the landscape, knowing your brands and how they're changing. To constantly tweak how you answer the question: am I most efficiently and effectively connecting our brands to fans, consumers through sports? What's that change?
We actually talked about that as, let's save it for just after this, but that concept of the new generation of fans, right? We talked about sort of generationally the relationship to live sports has changed. Whether or not the last 2 years were an accelerant or a decrease the way it's impacted other media channels, but you are seeing younger generations who just maybe have lesser tie. I want to talk about technology and new brands and new generation, but first let's get into just the philosophical underpinning of some of the strategic totems you outlined. You and I talked about this relationship of ownership and influence, right? So when you start thinking about activations, right, and really sort of bringing a brand to life in and around a sports affiliated brand, talk about that sort of that track there.
I think so. We have this phrase. I don't know if coin it or if I think it's ours.
We can coin it.
Melissa and I talk about this concept or this philosophy of ownership and influence in sports. I think you can apply it to a lot of things. Ownership and influence. Ownership is you have to start with the basic fit. Like you have to do things that are right for the brand. If you have an opportunity or an authentic reason to own something or to do something, is your brand a fit with something? And influence is once you think, yes, we can own this space, we can operate in the space authentically, it makes sense for our fans and our consumers. We want to see the table when it comes to partnerships, and we just sign a check and say, we'll see you on game day. Like, we want to be in the kitchen, roll up the sleeves, see how the sausage is made, sit at the table, co-create this thing with you every step of the way. And it's messy. It is messy sometimes. But we find that our brand teams and our team really want to get the best results, most custom results. Like many people, you're not buying some package off the shelf. You want to get in there and say, hey, this is what our brand is about. This is what your brand is about. That's IP or property. And let's find those intersections where things make sense to enter additive together. One of the best examples is literally this week, the Pepsi Super Bowl halftime show, thinking about ownership. Nothing against them, but the previous halftime show sponsor before we took over years ago was Bridgestone Tire. I'm not sure there's a direct connection between Bridgestone and music and the biggest moment of pop culture every year in their halftime show. I would like to argue that the Pepsi brand that is rooted in music, has deep DNA history with pop culture. When you think about all the music and celebrity talent and stars, it's a pop culture brand. It's a very timely brand. That feels like it has ownership and the right to play at the center, literally the center, the logo or the center, not by accident, of that big moment in sports and culture. So you start with ownership and influence. And as some of our brand team members will be up here talking later in the test, we absolutely have these students at Rock Nation, Pepsi, NFL, determining how this whole massive thing called the halftime show comes to life. While we're not dictating to Dre what he's going to sing, it's all about co-creating a marketing platform. It really is 12 months of planning for a 12-minute show. And hopefully,
saying you didn't offer lyrical suggestions.
Not me personally. No, I don't think I'm qualified. You're very qualified to offer any lyrical suggestions.
Fair enough. We talked also, and I think it's the right brand here, around fair value exchange, right, for a consumer. At the end of the day, the best brand engagement or integration is when a consumer walks away feeling like something special happened, or I took something of value from that. Not just in the sports marketing channel as a vehicle, but across the marketing spectrum. I think we always want to talk about a two-way street with our customers, right? Because we listen to our customers, we constantly are surveying our customers on what they want out of our products. We do the exact same thing. How do you sort of ensure that the fan has a voice, or that there's some validation that like we were thinking about our fans and our customers when we put this in place?
It's, I mean, listen, at the fundamental level, we sell snacks and beverages, right? We've got our brands with Pepsi and our Frito counterparts as well. And we do think we have an authentic, ownable right to play in that moment of consumption, the fan experience. Whether you probably have our products on the table on Sunday if you have a Super Bowl party. Sure. Buying chips, water, soda, beer, probably have that too. Whether you're in a stadium, you're eating and drinking our products, but maybe you're in a tailgate in a parking lot outside of a stadium. So we start there, and that's where we provide, like, from a product standpoint, the value proposition. And then from a brand standpoint, when we build on that, we said we're going to partner with the New York Giants, we're partner with the Jets, the halftime show, the NFL. What can we as a Pepsi, for example, what can we as a fun brand? Yes, we're providing something, a moment of product consumption. But can we give them access and get to the halftime show? Can we give fans a different look at the halftime show? They wouldn't have gotten a little. Can we peel back the onion just one layer and give them an insight into how the show comes to life, the planning process? Can we, which we've done, create a documentary after the fact to really give a deep dive look at how the show comes to life. So you start with the product necessity and then you build with the partnerships, you build the marketing around that. It's just, that's where we find your best work as a halftime show with the Mountain Dew NBA 3-point contest, which is happening next week. Cleveland, so here at Cleveland, so we that's similar thing, trying to find ways to insert our brands in relevant ways that give fans more excitement or
sure. So then let's touch one more step into sort of creativity, and then let's go to technology. So there's some great things you're doing around there I'm curious about. You made a comment earlier. At some point, a sports activation hits your team, right? You're involved somewhere along the way. You're driving, or you're picking up a concept. The concept of creativity. How do you and team sort of inspire creativity? Right, the halftime show is the halftime show, right? And some unbelievable stories there. Some great partners. How do you guys think about creativity? How do you think about sort of your appetite to push the envelope?
I'm not the most creative person in the world, but I think we have the benefit of Pepsi and having a lot of really smart and really creative people both in and out of house. So our brand team is amazing. We, like Melissa and I joke all the time. Like, I feel like we are it's certainly part of our brand. Sometimes I feel like our team, honestly, it's not like sometimes we feel like we're part of the brand team more than the brand team feels like they're part. Like we are locked at the hip of them, so we have to know our brands just as well as the brand team, and we have to understand the sports landscape and our partners. Sure. So it's creative ideas that come from anywhere. We have the benefit of having a lot of good creative partners and creative people. We just, at the end of the day, we have our halftime show, for example, the 3-point contest. We've had it now for several years. We understand what the platform is and where we want to take it. That's right for the brand. And it starts with the process of like, well, what would we like to do? A great example is we've always said for years, we have this idea of let's bring them, what's the right second screen experience for the halftime show? We've never nailed it, I think, until this year. I was talking to somebody outside. I do think we've tried different things. There's filters and there's different digital engagements we've done. We've never given a true second screen experience. So this year with our app, and the brand team's done a great job of launching this thing. I think this is going to be a really interesting unlock to give people a completely unique new look at the show while it's happening. And that's hopefully going to be like finally 9 or 10 years, like to check our box. Like that's the second screen experience.
That's great. That was one of the things that we wanted to touch on, right? Like the watch TV, sit at home, your phone is with you, right? Inside of a venue, more and more, like we're spending time on the device. I was fortunate. I'm sure there was others here in the room. Went to NASCAR last week at the Coliseum. It's a little loud. Can't really talk to anybody. It's very loud. There's a lot of left turns, and you're watching your phone half the time, right? You're like, okay, what an unbelievable opportunity for someone to come in and sort of bring these two experiences together. Because I'm obviously sitting and watching like this, right? So it's like, how do you do that? So it sounds like this is definitely a big focus this year.
It is. It's funny. I remember 5 years ago there was this when more and more people were watching live sports events like this instead of head up watching the game. It was like almost a negative thing. Like, how can we get people to re-engage on the field? And now gambling and in-game betting, micro. Like, as a marketer, I'm almost like, man, I want them. I want them to watch the action. As well. But this might be a place to at least watch half the game or engage with the action in a different way. So
absolutely.
It's I do remember specifically thinking, like, man, I gotta help. As a marketer, we want people's eyes up, not down. I think you want one mix.
Absolutely. We're coming up on time. I want to touch one more topic, and then we'll quickly run to the crowd questions. But obviously, technology, right? So, our mutual friend Dick Brady, PepsiCo Labs, and building some really outstanding partnerships, almost like an incubator in-house. Talk about some of the work you've been doing with PepsiCo Labs. I know there's some great partners that come out of it.
Yeah. Great example who I just saw leading earlier on and AI. So talk about that. But like Pepsi, it's so matrix and so collaborative. Like that. You don't walk down the hall by yourself, right? That's how collaborative you have to be. So we work very closely with not only the brand team, but we built out entire sections of our organization.
Yeah.
And their sole job is to work across the organization, whether it's a brand or sports or music or media team, and look externally and almost survey the startup landscape, technology or media or content. Whoever's doing cool stuff out there, and their job is to find those startups, understand what they're doing to our business, sports or sales or whatever, any part of our business supply chain. Bring that technology capabilities house, turn things, make value out of it. So part of the PepsiCo Lab, now is something called AI, data startup, sports data startup technology, and work with them. Their proposition was basically like pitched it. They came in, they pitched it, and said, we can help you determine the retail value of your sports sponsorships and pencils drop. Like, holy crap, that's like the Holy Grail. Like, nobody can really do that. You have some estimations or maybe guesses about how it's done. When they went through technology, we thought really they had something differentiated than what was out there. That they were using. So we did this test and learn process. We did like a 1.0 test with one team. We said, okay, here's the data on Team X. Like, run your model. Tell us what you think it is. Interesting, came back not too far off from what we think it is. So, okay, let's tweak a few of the inputs and some of the data sources and run it again on 2 more teams. Came back fairly accurate. Sure. We ran it, and now we're running it on all our teams. And it's actually, it's not nothing so I don't think in terms of ROI. But we've now plugged this into our other 6 or 7 data points that we look at per property. And this is going to be one of the cornerstones of the the clearest look at how much more Pepsi do I sell in New York area because I have the Yankees partnership, or how much more Pepsi do I sell in LA because I have the Rams partnership. And when you break that down, it's a really powerful tool. To say, okay, I can really attribute some hard value and how much I spend on it. In some cases, maybe I'm willing to spend less because I know that I'm not losing much product. There are also those instances where like, man, this is a steal, and this is a great deal because this partnership is generating a ton of retail value for us. So if we had to, we might be willing to spend. So it's a really good barometer for spend and how our acquisition is doing.
Fantastic. So the final question will be sort of what's on the horizon? What are you looking at as you team set? Knowing we're going to come up against time, you get 10 seconds, 5 minutes,
5 seconds.
Oh, okay. All right. Well then, crowd. Let's quickly go to the crowd. I'll give you a beat to think about what's on the horizon. Quick cut to the crowds. All right.
Both acquired bodies last year. How's that strategy?
I would say we always, any good brand company is keeping an eye on their competitor. We've kept an eye on them and we've been battling it out market share wise for years and years. So in a way, I would say not much has changed. I mean, it's still a very strong brand that they have been developing. They probably have some more distribution ability there, so you want to keep an eye on that. But in a way, it doesn't change what we or Gatorade is doing much. It's just maybe some more backing and some more distribution. But they're a formidable brand, and we're always keeping an eye on them from a Gatorade standpoint. And we're continuing to focus on our brand and building that to make sure they don't get into market share. Great question.
I just wanted to say, good to see you in person, man.
Excited with the mask off.
Good job. Like one of the best days yesterday, man. You were tough competition.
I didn't plan this, by the way.
Yeah, this is not a plan.
This is not a plan. But I haven't seen you in the flesh in a long time.
Good to see you, man.
Love that. See, we're in Innovators, getting us back together. Any other questions from the crowd? All right, the horizon. What is it that you and team are thinking about now, right? Like I said, talked about it. We're back in stadiums. We're feeling that sort of fandom again, that unapologetic joy. NFTs, the metaverse, second screens, right? There's a whole world out there. What is it that you and team are thinking about next, or what is the thing that's getting you excited about your business in particular?
All of that stuff.
All that.
So I'll tell you,
Can you explain NFTs to me while we're here?
absolutely. I think I understand that I want to do them.
Sure.
Like, there's money and brand engagement to be had, but I think we're all probably testing and learning quickly. And we're doing some stuff in the space. A lot of brands either have or are. I think it's test and learn. That one specifically, it's interesting. You know, we're trying to find the right way in from not just a Pepsi brand, but like how can we? Because you think there's value in Pepsi and Mountain Dew owning certain NFT IP call and putting that out there in the right ways. But then we're also trying, like Melissa and I are trying to think about how can we leverage our partnerships. We have such awesome brand partners, whether it's the NFL or whether it's our team partners, our athlete partners. Are there interesting things that we can do that that a Pepsi plus a partner, all of a sudden that's even a more valuable NFT or more engaging NFT. So really cool space. I mean, NFT, meta, crypto, like all that stuff, gambling, you know, we think about some of the things we're doing with we've done last year with FanDuel, we have Super Trade Day, so leveraging our NBA 3-point partnership and have this betting mechanism, one fantasy mechanism. All that stuff is stuff we want to do more of because that's where fans are going. That's where what they're doing, and so it's not following, but it's just making sure we're consistently putting our brands in the places that fans are engaging. So whether it's crypto, whether it's the metaverse, that's something like brands have done stuff. It'll be a constant. We hope that we can test and learn, fail quickly, learn, and then amplify, and do pivot and do better the next time around. So all that, we have a ton of renewal as we always do. It's happened. It was a nice job to really manage our portfolio, make sure we're spending efficiently, make sure we have the right partnerships. We're activating those partnerships. You know, I think our biggest criticism of ourselves and our team is we have awesome partnerships that we probably don't activate as much or as well as we should. So we're always pushing ourselves to activate it better. I use this analogy of like, hey, I was going to say it, since we're here, you can have an awesome Porsche in the driveway, but it does you no good unless you put gas on it and take it out on the road, right? You have to activate these great partnerships. You can't just sign a deal and let it sit there or think it's going to do itself. You have to have a strategy and a team in place to activate the hell out of it to actually get it done.
Well, look, kudos to you and the team. I'll have to second it, right? Like you talk a lot about authenticity and a place where Pepsi deserves or has earned the right to be there. I think there are a few brands you can call out that lives up to that, and y'all done a phenomenal job with that. So congrats. Everyone's stoked to throw up for the halftime show. Give it up, Justin.